Ezra Bridger's connection to the world between worlds. Ezra Bridger's connection to the world between worlds, the WBW, is one of the most fascinating and potentially universe-altering elements introduced in Star Wars Rebels. This mystical dimension, first seen in the episode A World Between Worlds, represents a network of portals outside time and space, allowing for potential manipulation of past and future events. Ezra's use of the WBW raises significant questions about the nature of the Star Wars timeline and the long-term effects his actions may have on the broader galaxy. The WBW is not a time machine in the traditional sense, but rather a realm of the Force that exists outside linear chronology. It functions as a nexus where key moments in galactic history are accessible via portals. While the full extent of its power is unknown, Ezra's ability to interact with it demonstrates that certain Force-sensitive individuals can use it to alter fate. However, it also suggests that tampering with history carries great risk, and the Force itself may have a will that prevents reckless interference. Ezra Bridger's connection to the WBW is unique. As a Jedi Padawan trained by Kanan Jarrus and influenced by various mentors, Ezra developed a deep and instinctual understanding of the Force. His discovery of the WBW in the Jedi Temple on Lothal allowed him to rescue Ahsoka Tano from her duel with Darth Vader, proving that the WBW could be used to change certain fates. By pulling Ahsoka into the WBW, Ezra demonstrated that the past could be altered, at least to some extent. This act ensured Ahsoka survived beyond Rebels and was able to return in The Mandalorian and Ahsoka. However, Ezra was tempted to use the WBW to prevent Kanan's death, a choice he ultimately resisted, indicating that the Force has boundaries when it comes to rewriting destiny. Ahsoka's survival has already had a significant impact on the Star Wars universe. Without Ezra's intervention, she likely would have perished at Vader's hands in Star Wars Rebels. Her continued existence allows her to train Sabine Wren, assist Luke Skywalker in his early attempts to rebuild the Jedi, and potentially play a role in the search for Grand Admiral Thrawn. Ezra's decision to save Ahsoka could be a key factor in shaping the post-return of the Jedi galaxy. Ahsoka's survival also means that she never fully reconciles with Anakin before his death. In the WBW, Ezra and Ahsoka witness a moment from Revenge of the Sith where Anakin falls to the dark side, reinforcing the idea that these portals connect pivotal events in Star Wars history. Had Ahsoka been able to reach Vader again before his redemption and Return of the Jedi, it's possible she could have influenced his fate differently. Ezra's final act in Rebels was to use the Purgle to transport himself and Thrawn into deep space. Given that Thrawn re-emerges in Ahsoka, it's clear that their journey has lasting consequences. If Ezra's connection to the WBW extends beyond Rebels, it could be tied to Thrawn's return and the rising conflict in the New Republic era. Ezra's experience in the WBW suggests that while certain events can be altered, others are immutable. The fact that he was unable to save Kanan, despite having the power to intervene, implies that the Force itself maintains balance by preventing major paradoxes. This idea reinforces the notion that while a WBW provides glimpses into different timelines, it is not an unrestricted tool for rewriting history. If the WBW were to be accessed again, its power could become a battleground for light and dark side users seeking to reshape the galaxy in their favor. Given the WBW's significance, it is possible that future Star Wars stories will explore its implications further. The Ahsoka series has already hinted at deeper mysteries surrounding time, space, and the Force. If Ezra retains knowledge of the WBW, he may either safeguard it or use it again in a critical moment. Moreover, Palpatine's interest in the WBW suggests that the Sith sought to weaponize it. While his attempt to seize control in Rebels was thwarted, it raises the possibility that remnants of the Empire or the First Order may continue searching for a way to access it. The WBW remains one of the most dangerous and intriguing elements in the Star Wars mythos, and Ezra Bridger's role in it may have only begun to unfold. Ezra Bridger's use of the world between worlds has already altered the course of Star Wars history by preserving Ahsoka Tano and possibly influencing Thrawn's fate. However, its long-term impact remains uncertain. The WBW's existence suggests that time and destiny in Star Wars are more fluid than previously thought, but the Force itself appears to enforce certain rules. As new stories emerge, Ezra's connection to the WBW could play a critical role in shaping the future of the galaxy. Whether it remains a hidden secret or becomes a central conflict in future Star Wars narratives, its potential cannot be ignored. Ahsoka's true role as the daughter's successor. Ahsoka Tano's journey through the Star Wars saga has led many to speculate that she is the spiritual successor to the daughter from Mortis, a powerful Force entity representing the light side. The theory suggests that Ahsoka has inherited the daughter's essence, making her a living embodiment of balance in the Force and uniquely tasked with preserving its harmony. In Star Wars: The Clone Wars, Anakin Skywalker, Obi-Wan Kenobi, and Ahsoka Tano encounter three powerful beings on Mortis: the Father, the Son, and the Daughter. These entities symbolize different aspects of the Force. The Father maintains balance, the Son embodies the dark side, and the Daughter represents the light. During this arc, Ahsoka is mortally wounded by the Son, only to be resurrected by the Daughter, who transfers her life force into Ahsoka through Anakin. This moment is often viewed as a pivotal transformation, subtly imbuing Ahsoka with the Daughter's energy. Following her revival, Ahsoka's journey takes a unique trajectory. Unlike the Jedi who followed rigid dogma or the Sith who embraced corruption, Ahsoka forges her own path, aligning with neither faction. Her white lightsabers, which lack the typical Jedi or Sith colorations, further symbolize her neutrality and independence. This distinct position echoes the Daughter's role as a guardian of the light without actively engaging in Jedi politics. Throughout her appearances in Rebels, The Mandalorian, and Ahsoka, she often acts as a guide rather than a warrior, helping others find their way in the Force rather than dictating a strict doctrine. This advisory role mirrors the function of the Daughter, who sought to temper the conflict between the Son and the Father. Ahsoka's survival of events that destroyed others, such as Order 66 and her duel with Vader, suggests she may be under some form of divine protection or fulfillment of a greater purpose. A recurring presence in Ahsoka's life is Mirai, a convor owl seen accompanying her at key moments. Mirai is strongly linked to the Daughter and appears to serve as both a guide and a guardian to Ahsoka. In Rebels, Mirai is present when Ahsoka is saved by Ezra Bridger in the World Between Worlds, reinforcing the connection between Ahsoka and the mystical energy of Mortis. If Ahsoka is indeed the Daughter's successor, her mission could extend beyond personal survival to ensuring the Force remains balanced. Unlike Luke Skywalker, who aimed to rebuild the Jedi, Ahsoka operates outside traditional institutions, shaping the next generation without imposing strict ideological frameworks. Her interactions with characters like Grogu and Sabine Wren hint that she may serve as a mentor to Force-sensitive individuals without fully reinstating the Jedi Order, thereby maintaining the balance once sought by the Daughter. The Ahsoka series further emphasizes her connection to Mortis by portraying her transformation. Her near-death experience in her duel with Balin's skull and her vision of Anakin serve as a symbolic transition, reinforcing the idea that she has embraced her deeper purpose. If she continues to embody the daughter's legacy, she may become a guiding force for the galaxy's future Force wielders. The theory that Ahsoka Tano is the daughter's successor provides a compelling framework for understanding her unique role in the Star Wars universe. From her resurrection on Mortis to her continued journey outside the Jedi and Sith traditions, Ahsoka's path reflects a greater cosmic balance. If this theory holds true, Ahsoka's ultimate destiny may be to serve as a living embodiment of light and harmony, guiding the Force into a new era of equilibrium. The real reason Kanan had to die. Kanan Jarrus's death in Star Wars Rebels was a deeply emotional moment that served a greater narrative purpose beyond mere tragedy. His sacrifice was not only pivotal for the growth of the Ghost Crew, but also necessary for Ezra Bridger's ultimate journey as a Jedi. Kanan served as Ezra's Jedi Master, guiding him through the complexities of the Force while struggling with his own insecurities. Unlike traditional Jedi, Kanan was a survivor of Order 66, forced to navigate a galaxy where Jedi were nearly extinct. His experience shaped his teaching methods, making him a unique mentor who balanced strict training with genuine care for Ezra's development. However, as Ezra's strength in the Force grew, Kanan's presence also became a crutch that prevented Ezra from truly stepping into his own power. The Ghost Crew was built on a foundation of unity and resilience, but Kanan's death forced them to confront their roles in a new way. His sacrifice shattered the emotional stability of the team, but it also compelled each member to step up and become more self-sufficient. Hera, in particular, had to move beyond her personal attachment to Kanan and embrace her leadership role more fully, while Sabine and Zeb had to take on greater responsibilities in the fight against the Empire. For Ezra, Kanan's death was a defining moment. Throughout Rebels, Ezra often relied on Kanan for guidance, but with his master gone, he had to find his own path. This mirrors the journey of many Jedi who lose their mentors, such as Luke Skywalker after the loss of Obi-Wan Kenobi and Yoda. Without Kanan's presence, Ezra had to trust in himself, fully embracing the Force without leaning on another's wisdom. This growth was essential for him to make the ultimate sacrifice of disappearing with Thrawn, ensuring the safety of his friends in the rebellion. Kanan's death was more than just a turning point. It was a moment of selfless sacrifice. In saving the Ghost Crew from destruction, he demonstrated the true principles of the Jedi: selflessness, love through action, and the willingness to protect others at all costs. This act of heroism cemented his legacy and left an indelible mark on Ezra, pushing him toward the understanding that true strength comes from putting others before oneself. Kanan Jarrus's death was necessary to propel the story of Rebels forward. It allowed the Ghost Crew to evolve, forced Ezra to step into his full potential as a Jedi, and provided a powerful example of self-sacrifice and heroism. His influence continued to guide Ezra long after his passing, proving that a Jedi's greatest impact often comes not in their lifetime, but in the legacy they leave behind. Thrawn's secret motives. Grand Admiral Thrawn is widely regarded as one of the most brilliant and enigmatic strategists in the Star Wars universe. While he served the Galactic Empire with ruthless efficiency, many fans theorize that his true loyalty was never to Emperor Palpatine, but to the Chiss ascendancy. This theory suggests that Thrawn was subtly undermining the Empire from within, using its vast resources to strengthen his people and prepare for the looming threat of the Grisk. Unlike most Imperial officers, Thrawn was not a native of the Empire. He was a high-ranking member of the Chiss ascendancy, a powerful but isolated civilization in the unknown regions. Thrawn's primary concern was always the survival of his people and his decision to join the Empire was likely a calculated move rather than an act of genuine loyalty. By embedding himself within the imperial hierarchy, he gained access to unparalleled military resources and intelligence, which could later be used to benefit the Chiss. Throughout his tenure in the Empire, Thrawn exhibited behavior that, in retrospect, appears to align more with Chiss interests than imperial doctrine. Unlike his power-hungry peers, he never sought personal advancement for the sake of ambition. Instead, he pursued projects that enhanced his knowledge of the Empire's military capabilities, while subtly steering its focus away from the unknown regions, where the Chiss faced external threats. His insistence on studying enemy cultures, art, and tactics also suggests that he was gathering intelligence not just for the Empire, but for the Chiss ascendancy. By understanding how various civilizations operated, he could better prepare his people for potential conflicts. One of the biggest threats lurking in the unknown regions was the Grisk, a formidable and enigmatic species known for their ability to manipulate and enslave other civilizations. The Thrawn Ascendancy novels reveal that the Chiss were already engaged in a shadow war against the Grisk, a conflict largely unknown to the rest of the galaxy. If Thrawn foresaw that neither the Empire nor the Republic could withstand the Grisk invasion, he may have decided that the best course of action was to exploit the Empire's resources while preparing for the inevitable war. This could explain why Thrawn never demonstrated personal loyalty to Palpatine or engaged in the political machinations of the Imperial Court. His actions suggest a long-term strategy designed to ensure the survival of the Chiss, even at the cost of the Empire's stability. At the end of Rebels, Thrawn and Ezra Bridger were launched into the unknown regions via the Purrgil. Given his intelligence and adaptability, it is possible that Thrawn used this exile to reconnect with the Chiss and further prepare for the Grisk threat. His reemergence in Ahsoka hints that he still has unfinished business, and his endgame may not be the restoration of the Empire, but rather the protection of the galaxy from an unseen menace. Thrawn's motives have always been enigmatic, but evidence suggests that his actions within the Empire were part of a larger strategy to safeguard the Chiss ascendancy. By leveraging Imperial resources, steering military focus away from the unknown regions, and gathering intelligence on potential threats, he may have been playing a long game to counter the Grisk. If this theory holds true, Thrawn is not just an Imperial warlord. He is a guardian of his people, willing to manipulate the galaxy's greatest powers to ensure their survival. Ezra Bridger as a future Grey Jedi. Ezra Bridger's journey throughout Star Wars Rebels positioned him as one of the most unique Jedi in Star Wars lore. Unlike many Jedi before him, Ezra frequently flirted with the dark side while maintaining a deep commitment to protecting those he loved. Given his experiences, his exile with Thrawn, and the philosophical questions raised in his story, many fans speculate that Ezra could become a future Grey Jedi, a Force wielder who embraces both the light and dark sides in pursuit of true balance. From the beginning, Ezra's connection to the Force was highly instinctive, resembling the raw power of Anakin Skywalker rather than the disciplined approach of traditional Jedi. Kanan Jarrus attempted to guide him within the Jedi teachings, but Ezra frequently questioned the strict dichotomy of light and dark. His encounters with Maul, the Sith holocron, and his ability to communicate with various creatures suggested an unconventional path, one that defied the rigid dogma of the Jedi Order. Ezra's story is filled with moments where he teeters between both sides of the Force. His time with Maul exposed him to Sith teachings, tempting him with power and the allure of quick solutions. However, unlike Anakin, Ezra never fully succumbed to the dark side. Instead, he learned from it, using its strength without letting it consume him. This duality suggests a future where Ezra does not adhere strictly to Jedi or Sith philosophy, but instead carves his own path. One of the most significant aspects of Ezra's journey was his discovery of the world between worlds. This experience gave him insight into the deeper mysteries of the Force, reinforcing the idea that its power is not limited to the teachings of the Jedi or Sith. If Ezra learned to harness this knowledge, he might adopt a more balanced approach to the Force, neither rejecting emotions like the Jedi, nor giving in to selfish desires like the Sith. After being taken into the unknown regions with Thrawn, Ezra has had years to reflect and evolve, without the direct influence of either the Jedi or the Sith. This time away could allow him to develop a new perspective on the Force, one that acknowledges both its light and dark aspects without being corrupted by either. If he returns, he may embody a philosophy similar to the Grey Jedi, using the Force in a way that is neither restrictive nor destructive. If Ezra were to return as a Grey Jedi, it could have profound implications for the Star Wars universe. He could serve as a mentor to a new generation of Force users, offering a perspective that embraces balance rather than rigid adherence to outdated dogma. His experiences make him the perfect candidate to challenge the traditional views of the Force, forging a new way forward that breaks free from the endless Jedi-Sith conflict. Ezra Bridger's journey has always hinted at a destiny beyond that of a typical Jedi. His experiences with both the light and dark sides, his connection to the world between worlds, and his exile with Thrawn all suggest that he could become a new kind of Force wielder, one who understands true balance. Whether or not Star Wars will officially embrace the concept of the Grey Jedi, Ezra's potential future as a wielder of both light and dark remains one of the most intriguing possibilities in the franchise. The Loth Wolves' origins. The Loth Wolves of Star Wars Rebels are among the most mysterious creatures in the Star Wars universe, possessing an almost mystical connection to the Force. Their intelligence, ability to communicate, and role in guiding Ezra Bridger and the Rebellion suggests that they are more than mere animals. One prevailing theory is that the Loth Wolves are either connected to the ancient Jedi of Lothal or are direct manifestations of the Force tied to the planet itself. Lothal has a rich history with the Force, as evidenced by its Jedi Temple, which holds a direct link to the world between worlds. This suggests that the planet was once a significant site for Jedi teachings. The Loth Wolves may be remnants of this ancient connection, possibly linked to Jedi who lived on Lothal long before the rise of the Republic. Some theories suggest that fallen Jedi who had a deep bond with the planet could have been reborn through the Force as these wolves, acting as guardians of Lothal's sacred sites and its spiritual energy. One of the strongest pieces of evidence for this theory is the character of Doom, the massive Loth wolf who shares his name with Kanan Jarrus's original identity, Caleb Doom. After Kanan's death, Doom appears to guide Ezra, hinting at a possible reincarnation or transformation of his essence into a Loth wolf. If this is true, it suggests that Jedi who are deeply connected to Lothal may live on through the wolves, continuing to influence events long after their physical deaths. Another compelling theory is that the Loth wolves are not biological creatures in the traditional sense, but manifestations of the Force itself. Throughout Rebels, these beings demonstrate abilities far beyond normal wildlife, including teleportation and telepathic communication. Their guidance of Ezra and the Ghost Crew suggests an awareness of the broader struggle between light and dark, reinforcing the idea that they are embodiments of the Force's will. This would align with the concept of Force entities like the Mortis gods, which represent different aspects of the Force. The Loth Wolves could be localized manifestations of the living Force, acting as protectors of Lothal and ensuring that the planet's deep connection to the Force remains undisturbed. Their presence and actions seem to serve a greater cosmic balance, nudging Ezra toward his destiny while preserving the sacred nature of Lothal. Lothal itself may be a force nexus, a place where the force is exceptionally strong and manifests in unique ways. Planets like Dagobah and Mortis have demonstrated that certain locations have an unusually strong connection to the force, giving rise to visions, supernatural occurrences, and even force-sensitive creatures. If Lothal is one such place, the Loth wolves could be physical representations of the Force's energy, taking form to interact with those attuned to it, like Ezra. The ability of the Loth wolves to traverse vast distances almost instantaneously through hyperspace tunnels is another indication of their unique relationship with the Force. These tunnels, which seem to bend space and time, could be an extension of the world between worlds, further linking the wolves to the mystical aspects of the Force. The Loth wolves remain one of Star Wars Rebels' most fascinating mysteries, and their true nature is still open to interpretation. Whether they are ancient Jedi reborn, physical manifestations of the Force, or guardians of Lothal's powerful energy, they undeniably play a crucial role in Ezra Bridger's journey. Their connection to the Force and their role in shaping the fate of Lothal suggests that they are far more than just another species of wildlife. They may be living embodiments of the Force itself, ensuring that the balance is maintained on the sacred world. The fate of Agent Kallus. Agent Kallus, introduced as a ruthless Imperial officer in Star Wars Rebels, undergoes one of the most compelling redemption arcs in the series. His transformation from a loyal servant of the Empire to a rebel sympathizer and ultimately a full-fledged member of the rebellion raises intriguing questions about his fate after the fall of the Empire. While the series ends with Kallus finding a new home among the Lasat, a theory suggests that his past as an Imperial agent may continue to haunt him, creating tension within the New Republic and testing his true allegiances. By the end of Rebels, Kallus is fully committed to the rebellion, having risked his life to undermine the Empire as the informant Fulcrum. His defection was a slow and painful process, catalyzed by his realization of the Empire's cruelty, particularly after learning of his unwitting role in the genocide of the Lasat. Zeb Orrelios, once his sworn enemy, ultimately helps him find redemption by taking him to Lyrasan, where the surviving Lasat welcome him. While this ending suggests a sense of peace for Kallus, the transition from being an Imperial enforcer to a trusted rebel leader would not have been without challenges. Some members of the rebellion, especially those who suffered directly under the Empire, might never fully trust him despite his efforts. The New Republic's formation could bring further scrutiny to his past actions, forcing Kallus to reckon with the possibility that his history as an Imperial officer might never truly be erased. One possible outcome is that Kallus struggles to maintain his place within the New Republic due to his former ties to the Empire. While Mon Mothma and other high-ranking officials may recognize his contributions to the rebellion, former Imperials were often viewed with suspicion in the post-war era. Kallus was not just a low-ranking officer, he was an ISB agent, an elite enforcer of the Empire's will. His past actions, including his direct role in Imperial operations against rebel cells, could make him a controversial figure. Additionally, the fall of the Empire did not erase its remnants. With warlords and Imperial loyalists still active, Kallus may find himself a target for those who see him as a traitor. Some ex-Imperials might attempt to recruit or eliminate him, seeing his knowledge of the Empire as both an asset and a threat. If Kallus were ever captured, the question of where his true loyalties lie could become even more complicated. Zeb in the Lasat Prophecy. In Star Wars Rebels, Garazeb's Zeb Orrelios stands out as one of the most prominent and physically imposing characters. As a member of the Lasat species, a warrior-like race native to the planet Lasan, Zeb's journey on the show offers much more than simple adventures alongside his rebel allies. One particularly intriguing aspect of his story is the Lasat prophecy, which hints at a deeper and more significant role for Zeb in the galaxy's ongoing struggle between the light and dark sides of the Force. Zeb's survival, particularly when the rest of his people were wiped out by the Empire, is a critical moment in the narrative of Rebels. While the show doesn't delve into prophecy as heavily as the mainline Star Wars films, the presence of the Lasat prophecy offers a tantalizing glimpse into a larger destiny that could potentially affect the galaxy in ways beyond the scope of the series. The prophecy is framed within the ancient traditions and spiritual beliefs of the Lasat people, suggesting that Zeb's ultimate role could serve as the fulfillment of a long-awaited promise, one that could potentially echo themes of rebirth, survival, and heroism. The prophecy that Zeb comes into contact with during Rebels reveals a sense of fate tied directly to his species and their spiritual practices. The Lasat people, like many cultures in the Star Wars universe, hold on to prophecies as guiding principles, shaping their actions and beliefs. Zeb himself is initially skeptical of this prophecy, as he sees it more as a relic of the past that no longer holds relevance in a galaxy dominated by the Empire. However, his experiences and encounters with key figures, such as Kallus and the other rebels, eventually lead him to recognize the weight of this prophecy and what it means for his people. The prophecy states that a warrior will rise to lead the Lasat people, bringing them a future of hope and survival, something that Zeb's journey touches upon deeply. His survival against all odds hints that he might not just be any ordinary Lasat, but rather the warrior the prophecy speaks of. The belief that a powerful and heroic figure will one day restore the Lasat people is reflected in Zeb's growth as both a leader and a symbol of resistance. Throughout the series, he evolves from a simple fighter seeking revenge for his fallen people into someone who begins to understand the broader implications of his role. The mere fact that Zeb survived the destruction of his home planet, Lasan, carries significant weight within the narrative of Star Wars Rebels. The Empire's devastating attack on Lasan was not merely a random act of aggression. It was a calculated move to eliminate a species that had once been a strong resistance force. The loss of Lasan was a symbolic blow, not just to the Lasat people, but also to the hopes of a galaxy in the throes of imperial oppression. Zeb's survival, then, serves as a symbol of resilience. While the rest of his species was wiped out, Zeb remains a living testament to the possibility of overcoming the Empire's destruction. This alone is powerful, but it becomes even more significant when placed within the framework of the Lasat prophecy. If Zeb truly is the figure the prophecy foretold, his continued existence serves as a sign that the Lasat people and their way of life can be restored. His journey to reclaim what was lost isn't just about revenge for the death of his people. It is a quest for redemption and a second chance at life for the Lasat as a whole. While Star Wars Rebels does a fantastic job of exploring Zeb's character arc, his journey feels far from complete. By the end of the series, the immediate threat of the Empire is subdued, but the fate of the Lasat species is left unresolved. It's clear that Zeb's role in the larger galaxy is not one confined to a single series or event. His connection to the prophecy suggests that his true destiny lies in a larger cosmic narrative. What might this destiny entail? For one, it's possible that Zeb's role could extend to future Star Wars projects, perhaps in ways that align with or expand upon the existing prophecy. His leadership could play a crucial part in the re-establishment of the Lasat people. either through diplomatic means or by taking a more direct, militaristic approach. As someone who has endured great personal loss and witnessed the horrors of war, Zeb could be the ideal figure to guide his people through the darkness of the galaxy's ongoing struggle. Moreover, as the Star Wars saga continues to explore themes of legacy and the cyclical nature of history, Zeb's survival could be an indicator that he is meant to inspire future generations, not just of Lasat, but of all races fighting against tyranny. As the galaxy continues to rebuild after the fall of the Empire, Zeb could serve as a figurehead for peace and resistance, much like the Jedi before him. His connection to the prophecy suggests that his path is destined to cross with others who share a similar fight, perhaps even reuniting with key figures from his past or encountering new allies in the fight against lingering Imperial or Sith threats. While the Lasat people are not Force-sensitive in the traditional sense, their spiritual practices and connection to their own kind of Force gives them a unique perspective on destiny and purpose. The mysterious connection between Zeb and the mystical aspects of the Lasat culture, particularly through their ancient artifacts and spiritual beliefs, highlights a deeper layer of his character. Perhaps Zeb's survival and involvement in the prophecy are tied not just to his own strength, but to a larger cosmic force that resonates with the broader themes of the Star Wars universe. In many ways, Zeb's role as a warrior and protector echoes that of past Star Wars heroes who have found themselves tied to forces larger than themselves. The Lasat prophecy may not be as directly tied to the Force as the prophecies of the Jedi or Sith, but it still reflects the same underlying currents of destiny, fate, and hope that have long defined the Star Wars narrative. If anything, Zeb's connection to the prophecy hints at the possibility that the Lasat may have their own unique force or spiritual path that will allow them to reclaim their place in the galaxy, with Zeb as their leader. Zeb's survival and the Lasat prophecy offer a deeper layer to his character than what is immediately apparent in Rebels. His role as a warrior, survivor, and leader suggests that his journey is part of a much larger and more significant story, one that could shape the future of his people and the galaxy as a whole. As Star Wars continues to evolve, it is entirely possible that Zeb will play a larger role in future narratives, perhaps fulfilling the promise of the Lasat prophecy by becoming the symbol of hope, survival, and leadership for his people. The possibility that Zeb is destined for something greater than simply being a companion to the rebels and rebels opens up exciting narrative potential for future Star Wars projects. Whether through the rebuilding of the Lasat people, the legacy of resistance against oppression, or his role as a leader within the broader galaxy, Zeb's journey is far from over. The Lasat prophecy hints that his fate is not just tied to his people's past, but to their future. And by embracing this role, Zeb could become a central figure in the galaxy's fight for justice and freedom. Hera Syndulla's role in forming the Resistance. In Star Wars Rebels, Hera Syndulla is not only a skilled pilot and leader, but also one of the pivotal figures in the early formation of the rebellion against the Empire. However, while her story in the animated series focuses on the growth of the Rebel Alliance, there are clear connections to the broader Star Wars saga, especially the eventual formation of the Resistance seen in the sequel trilogy. Hera's actions in Rebels lay the groundwork for the Resistance's values, strategies, and alliances, directly influencing the events of The Force Awakens and the broader conflict between the First Order and the Resistance. To understand Hera's influence on the Resistance, it's essential to explore her character in Rebels, the specific role she plays in establishing resistance networks, and how those elements transcend into the later era of galactic history. By examining her actions during the early years of the rebellion and their long-term effects, we can see a clear line between Hera's leadership in the Rebel Alliance and the formation of the Resistance decades later. From the moment Rebels begins, Hera Syndulla is portrayed as a natural leader with a profound understanding of the importance of unity in the fight against the Empire. As the leader of the Ghost crew, Hera is more than just a strategist and skilled pilot. She serves as the glue holding the crew together. Throughout the series, she demonstrates an ability to inspire loyalty and courage, which she extends beyond her immediate crew to the larger rebellion. Hera's leadership is key to the initial efforts of the rebellion and rebels. While other rebel cells are active during this time, Hera is instrumental in connecting these disparate factions, creating the groundwork for the larger rebel alliance. Her deep connection with various rebel leaders, including those like Bail Organa and Mon Mothma, lays the foundation for the formalization of the alliance. Hera's diplomacy and her emphasis on cooperation between various cells, many of which were skeptical of each other, helped to shape the vision of a galaxy united against the Empire. In addition to forming alliances, Hera's focus on preserving the ideals of freedom, democracy, and justice resonates throughout the galaxy. These same principles form the core beliefs of the Resistance during the events of the sequel trilogy. Hera's actions in Rebels embody the essential spirit of rebellion, the willingness to fight not just for survival, but for the hope of a better future. One of the most important aspects of Hera's role in Rebels is her strategic mind, which is essential for the success of the rebellion against the Empire. Hera's ability to think on her feet, adapt to rapidly changing circumstances, and develop effective military strategies makes her a key player in the conflict. While she is best known for her piloting skills, it is her tactical intelligence and willingness to make difficult decisions that set her apart. Hera's strategies are directly tied to the goals of the Resistance in the sequel trilogy. In The Force Awakens, General Leia Organa's Resistance is not just a group of soldiers fighting for a cause. It is a well-coordinated, highly strategic military force. The seeds of this coordination can be traced back to the early days of the rebellion, where Hera's tactics were pivotal. Her approach to warfare, which emphasizes both surprise and resourcefulness, can be seen in the Resistance's tactics, as they often face overwhelming odds and must make do with limited resources. Much like the Resistance, which must remain elusive and avoid being crushed by the First Order's superior strength, the early rebellion and rebels constantly operates in a state of relative weakness compared to the Empire. Hera teaches her crew and other rebel leaders how to exploit the Empire's weaknesses, something the Resistance later applies to their fight against the First Order. This ability to outthink and outmaneuver a larger enemy is a hallmark of both organizations, and Hera's legacy in this area cannot be overstated. Hera's leadership in Rebels also extends to forging lasting relationships with several key figures who play critical roles in both the Rebel Alliance and the Resistance. One of the most notable of these is her relationship with Princess Leia Organa. While Leia is not featured prominently in Rebels, the show's depiction of the Rebel Alliance, including its key figures like Bail Organa and Mon Mothma, establishes a connection that lasts well into the era of the Resistance. Hera's actions directly influence Leia's future role in the Resistance, as both women share a deep commitment to freedom and a fierce opposition to tyranny. Hera's leadership also extends to her close relationship with Kanan Jarrus, a Jedi, and Ezra Bridger, a Force-sensitive young man. While Rebels focuses on their personal journeys, Hera's ability to foster teamwork and unity among such diverse individuals prepares the groundwork for the Resistance's inclusive philosophy. In the sequel trilogy, the Resistance is portrayed as a melting pot of species, backgrounds, and beliefs, all united under a common goal. Hera's example in Rebels shows how important it is to bridge divides and work together in the fight for a better future. Additionally, Hera's connection to Admiral Akbar, who also appears in Rebels before becoming a key figure in the Resistance, underscores the importance of alliances and shared goals. Akbar's experience in the fight against the Empire and his eventual leadership in the Resistance further demonstrates the continuity between the rebellion of Hera's time and the resistance of the sequel trilogy. Through these relationships, Hera Syndulla's influence on the formation of the Resistance is undeniable. In the years following the events of Rebels, the galaxy is left in a state of precarious peace after the fall of the Empire. However, the rise of the First Order soon threatens to undo the progress made by the Rebel Alliance. It is within this new context that the Resistance is formed. The Resistance's main objective is to fight back against the First Order's growing power, and its ideals are directly rooted in the principles that Hera upheld during the original rebellion. Hera's influence is most evident in the formation of the Resistance's core values: resilience in the face of tyranny, the belief in a free galaxy, and the willingness to fight for what is right, no matter the cost. These were the same ideals that drove Hera throughout her career in Rebels. Her legacy is not just in the victories won during the rebellion, but in the enduring spirit of hope and resistance she cultivated. It's likely that her leadership and the lessons she imparted to those around her were directly passed down to future generations of resistance fighters. The Resistance's decision to stand against the First Order, even when faced with overwhelming odds, mirrors the actions of the early rebellion. Just as Hera led the fight against the Empire, despite being vastly outnumbered, the Resistance, led by Leia Organa, faces a similarly daunting challenge against the First Order. Hera's experiences in Rebels serve as a foundation upon which the Resistance is built, especially in terms of leadership, strategy, and unity. Hera Syndulla's actions in Star Wars Rebels are more than just part of her personal journey. They are foundational to the creation of the Resistance seen in the sequel trilogy. Her leadership, strategic thinking, and dedication to the ideals of freedom and unity serve as the building blocks for the future of galactic resistance movements. As a leader of the rebellion, Hera's actions helped to shape the future of the galaxy, ensuring that the fight for freedom would continue long after the fall of the Empire. Hera's legacy is not just one of victory, but of hope, cooperation, and the belief that even the smallest spark can light the way toward a better future. Her role in connecting key figures, her ability to unify diverse factions, and her strategic brilliance lay the groundwork for the Resistance, ensuring that the fight against tyranny would continue well into the era of the First Order. Through Hera's unwavering leadership, the principles that would guide the Resistance were firmly established, creating a legacy that would endure through the darkest of times. The Ghost Crew's connection to the Skywalker saga. In Star Wars Rebels, the Ghost Crew is an ensemble of characters: Hera Syndulla, Kanan Jarrus, Ezra Bridger, Sabine Wren, Garazeb Orrelios, and their droid Chopper, who play pivotal roles in the early days of the rebellion against the Empire. Although Rebels takes place years before the events of the original trilogy, it is clear that the actions of the Ghost Crew have far-reaching consequences, particularly regarding the events of the Galactic Civil War. A theory that has gained traction among Star Wars fans suggests that the Ghost Crew's influence may have extended into the key moments of the original trilogy, such as the Battle of Endor, in ways that directly impacted the outcome of the conflict and the ultimate victory over the Empire. While the show's narrative does not directly intersect with the events of the original trilogy, there are several significant ways in which the Ghost Crew could have indirectly influenced key moments in the galaxy-wide struggle. From tactical maneuvers to the inspiration provided by their resistance against the Empire, The Ghost Crew's legacy likely reverberated into the rebellion's victory at Endor and beyond. By examining their actions in Rebels and connecting them to events in the original trilogy, we can theorize how these characters might have contributed to the defeat of the Empire and the ultimate success of the Rebel Alliance. One of the most significant contributions of the Ghost Crew to the Rebel Alliance is their role in organizing and expanding the Rebel network. Throughout Rebels, the crew is involved in forming alliances with various Rebel cells, establishing communication channels, and spreading the message of resistance across the galaxy. This network is crucial for the success of the Rebel Alliance in its struggle against the Empire, and it lays the foundation for future victories, including the Battle of Endor. The Battle of Endor is a decisive moment in the original trilogy where the Rebel Alliance manages to destroy the second Death Star and effectively cripple the Empire's military power. However, this victory would not have been possible without the Rebel network in place to coordinate the attack. The Ghost Crew's work in Rebels to establish connections with other Rebel cells directly contributes to the strength and cohesion of the Alliance, which is vital in executing complex operations like the Battle of Endor. Hera Syndulla, as a key leader within the crew, played a central role in these efforts, as evidenced by her leadership in organizing resistance groups and uniting factions. Her relationships with characters like Mon Mothma and Bail Organa in Rebels demonstrate her integral role in connecting the smaller, scattered cells into a unified fighting force, which would ultimately come together for major engagements such as the one at Endor. Another area where the Ghost Crew may have directly influenced the outcome of the Battle of Endor is through their involvement in the battle itself. While the Ghost itself does not appear in the original trilogy, it is plausible to theorize that the ship, under Hera's command, could have played a significant role in the battle. As the battle unfolds, numerous Rebel ships participate in the assault on the second Death Star. While the Rebel fleet is led by Admiral Akbar and includes ships like the Home One, Hera Syndulla, as a skilled tactician and pilot, could have been one of the commanders of a fleet division or served in a critical role behind the scenes. The Ghost's reputation for being involved in covert missions, scouting, and surprise attacks in Rebels could suggest that Hera's involvement in the Battle of Endor might have included gathering intelligence or providing crucial support for the strike team that penetrates the Death Star's defenses. The rebellion's ability to use limited resources effectively is something that the Ghost Crew excelled at during Rebels, and this trait would have made them an indispensable part of the overall strategy at Endor. Additionally, Hera's leadership and ability to think on her feet would have made her a valuable asset in the chaotic environment of the battle, where agility, quick thinking, and adaptability were required. Her presence at Endor could have been the difference in ensuring the success of the assault, whether through direct engagement or as part of a strategic plan formulated behind the scenes. Another theory revolves around the connection between Ezra Bridger, the young, Force-sensitive member of the Ghost Crew, and Luke Skywalker, the hero of the original trilogy. While the two characters never meet, there are several thematic parallels between their journeys that suggest Ezra may have played a subtle but significant role in shaping Luke's development, particularly during the critical moments of the original trilogy. Throughout Rebels, Ezra grows in his understanding of the Force, often making decisions that mirror those of the Jedi of old. His exploration of the deeper aspects of the Force, including his encounters with the Bendu and the discovery of the world between worlds, hints that Ezra may have discovered new ways to tap into the Force's potential. This knowledge could have, in some way, impacted Luke's approach to the Force in the original trilogy, particularly during his pivotal training with Yoda and his final confrontation with Darth Vader. While it is speculative, Ezra's exposure to different aspects of the Force and his willingness to push the boundaries of Jedi philosophy may have influenced Luke's approach to the Force in Return of the Jedi, where Luke ultimately chooses compassion and understanding over anger and hatred. Ezra's story arc, in which he learns the importance of balance, is one that parallels Luke's own journey, and it is possible that the spiritual teachings and philosophies exchanged among the rebel cells, including those influenced by Ezra's experiences, helped shape Luke's path. Sabine Wren, the talented Mandalorian artist and explosives expert, is also a key figure in the Rebel series. Sabine's contributions to the Rebel Alliance go beyond her skills in combat and strategy. Her role as an artist is equally significant. Sabine is responsible for creating the symbol of the rebellion, a logo that would come to represent hope, defiance, and unity for the entire galaxy. Her artistry and her ability to inspire others through visual symbols play a key role in galvanizing the Rebel Alliance during the Civil War. In the original trilogy, symbols such as the Rebel Alliance logo are powerful tools for rallying support and fostering a sense of solidarity. The importance of this symbolism is clearly visible at the Battle of Endor, where the Rebel fleet, made up of various species and backgrounds, unites under the same banner to defeat the Empire. The logo, created by Sabine, becomes a universal symbol of resistance that transcends individual battles and inspires hope in people across the galaxy. Without Sabine's role in crafting these symbols of resistance, the rebellion may not have had the same level of cohesion or public support during pivotal moments like the Battle of Endor. Kanan Jarrus, the former Jedi Knight, is another crucial member of the Ghost Crew. Although Kanan perishes before the events of the original trilogy, his influence on the broader Jedi legacy is significant. Kanan's role in mentoring Ezra, his continued belief in the Jedi principles, and his willingness to stand against the Empire all contribute to the preservation of the Jedi spirit. At the Battle of Endor, Luke Skywalker draws upon the teachings of Obi-Wan Kenobi and Yoda, but the Jedi legacy is not solely limited to these two figures. The impact of other Jedi, including Kanan, could have subtly shaped Luke's understanding of the Force and his eventual redemption of Darth Vader. The persistence of Jedi teachings, especially in times of crisis, echoes the core philosophy that Kanan upheld in Rebels, one of hope, faith, and selflessness in the face of overwhelming darkness. While the Ghost Crew's involvement in the original trilogy is never directly shown, their actions in Rebels likely had profound effects on key moments in the Skywalker saga. From their role in establishing the Rebel network to their influence on the strategic execution of the Battle of Endor, the Ghost Crew's legacy endures through their actions, their philosophy, and their deep connections with key figures in the Rebel Alliance. Through their courage, leadership, and sacrifices, the Ghost Crew helped shape the outcome of the galactic civil war. Their contributions, both large and small, ultimately played a critical role in the defeat of the Empire and the restoration of hope across the galaxy, leaving a legacy that would resonate through the generations that followed. Was Ezra Bridger Snoke's prototype? In the Star Wars universe, one of the most enigmatic characters of the sequel trilogy is Supreme Leader Snoke. Appearing as the dark side leader of the First Order in The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi, Snoke's origins were a mystery that wasn't fully explained until The Rise of Skywalker, where it was revealed that he was a creation of Emperor Palpatine's twisted cloning experiments. This revelation sparked many questions, particularly about how Palpatine was able to create a figure like Snoke, who wielded considerable power in the dark side despite his physical frailty. One of the more intriguing theories that emerged from fans is that Ezra Bridger, the young Jedi protagonist of Star Wars Rebels, may have played a role in inspiring Palpatine's cloning experiments and ultimately contributed to the creation of Snoke. The theory suggests that Ezra's brief but intense connection to the dark side during his journey in Rebels could have influenced Palpatine's understanding of the Force and his subsequent attempts to create a powerful figure like Snoke. To explore this theory, we need to dive into several key aspects: Ezra's potential link to the dark side, Palpatine's cloning experiments, and how these elements could have intertwined to bring about the creation of Snoke. While this theory remains speculative, it offers an intriguing lens through which to analyze the connections between the prequel, original, and sequel trilogies. Ezra Bridger's journey throughout Star Wars Rebels is defined by his struggle with the dark side of the Force. While Ezra starts out as a hopeful and impulsive young man, his path becomes more complicated as he faces temptations from the dark side. His connection to the dark side is explored in multiple instances throughout the series, particularly in his encounters with the Sith holocron and his temptation to use the dark side to gain power. One of the most notable moments in Ezra's journey is his acquisition of the Sith holocron. When Ezra opens the holocron, he is exposed to the influence of dark side teachings, which challenge his understanding of the Force. During this period, Ezra's actions grow more erratic as he becomes consumed with the idea of using the dark side for personal gain and to protect his friends. He is not entirely consumed by the dark side, but his struggle is evident, and his moments of weakness show the potential for him to become a powerful dark side user. In Rebels Season 3, Ezra becomes entangled with Maul, one of the greatest Sith Lords in Star Wars lore, who manipulates Ezra into using the dark side for his own purposes. Ezra's willingness to go to extreme lengths for his friends, coupled with his growing power, makes him an ideal candidate for the Sith teachings. However, Ezra ultimately rejects Maul's influence, choosing instead to pursue a path of balance. Despite his decision to resist full-on darkness, the flirtation with the dark side leaves a lasting mark on Ezra and his future. It is this period of Ezra's life that could have caught the attention of Emperor Palpatine, who was always searching for ways to exploit the Force and to manipulate individuals for his own gain. Ezra's raw, untapped potential in the dark side might have been a catalyst for Palpatine's experiments, as the Emperor could have seen in Ezra the promise of creating a new Sith or dark side leader. Palpatine's obsession with immortality and the power of the dark side is well established in the Star Wars saga, particularly in the prequels and the sequels. In The Rise of Skywalker, it is revealed that Palpatine had spent years developing secret cloning technology on Exegol, creating multiple failed clones in an attempt to regain his former strength. These clones were meant to be vessels for Palpatine's spirit, ensuring that his rule would last for eternity. However, Snoke, the creation we see in the sequel trilogy, is one of the few successful products of these experiments. Given Palpatine's obsession with creating the perfect vessel for his spirit, it is likely that he conducted many experiments to understand the Force and how to manipulate it. Palpatine had always been drawn to the darker aspects of the Force, particularly its ability to corrupt and manipulate life itself. His desire to create the perfect figure to wield the dark side in his absence could have led him to experiment with various Force-sensitive individuals. Ezra's brief but powerful connection to the dark side could have presented a promising foundation for such experiments. We know that Palpatine's cloning efforts were focused on creating a vessel that could house his consciousness, but there is also a possibility that Palpatine was trying to create a Force-sensitive being who could be an extension of his will. The creation of Snoke, who is physically weak but powerful in the dark side, suggests that Palpatine was attempting to make a new Sith Lord who could carry on his legacy and ensure that his dark vision for the galaxy would continue, even after his physical death. The central premise of this theory is that Ezra Bridger, with his connection to the dark side and his untapped potential, may have inadvertently inspired Palpatine's creation of Snoke. While Ezra never fully succumbs to the dark side in Rebels, his experiences with it could have provided the Emperor with insight into what was needed to create a dark side figure with immense power. Ezra's connection to the dark side, his ability to tap into it, even if momentarily, could have led Palpatine to attempt to create a clone imbued with similar abilities. The idea that Palpatine might have used Ezra as a template for Snoke's creation makes sense when considering Ezra's raw, untamed potential and his ability to manipulate the Force in ways that were not fully understood. Ezra's experiences with the Sith holocron and his encounters with Maul could have been crucial to Palpatine's understanding of how to create a Force-sensitive being who could be both powerful and obedient to the Emperor's will. Moreover, Ezra's journey toward balance and his eventual rejection of the dark side may have led Palpatine to believe that a figure like Snoke, who embodies the dark side in a more restrained and controlled manner, would be a more effective tool for his ultimate goals. Snoke's character in the sequel trilogy is one that is physically frail, but his connection to the dark side is undeniable. It is possible that Palpatine sought to create a being who had the potential for great power, but whose dark side nature was more refined and less prone to the unpredictability that plagued figures like Darth Vader. In The Rise of Skywalker, it is revealed that Snoke is a creation of Palpatine, a clone that was designed to serve as a puppet for the Emperor's will. Snoke's frailty and appearance suggests that he was an imperfect clone, likely the product of many failed experiments. This fits with the idea that Palpatine was experimenting with various Force-sensitive beings and attempting to perfect his vision for a dark side ruler. If Ezra's connection to the dark side was a key influence on these experiments, it would explain why Snoke had such a powerful connection to the Force, despite his otherwise weak and deformed body. Ezra's role in Palpatine's experiments would not have been direct or intentional. Instead, it would have been the result of Palpatine observing Ezra's potential from afar and drawing inspiration from the young Jedi's struggle with the dark side. Snoke, as a result, could be seen as a twisted reflection of what Ezra could have become had he fully embraced the dark side, but also an imperfect replica of the dark power that Palpatine sought to wield. While this theory remains speculative, the connection between Ezra Bridger and Snoke is an intriguing one that provides a deeper understanding of how the dark side operates across the Star Wars saga. Ezra's struggle with the dark side and his untapped potential could have served as the blueprint for Palpatine's cloning experiments, leading to the creation of Snoke. The possibility that Ezra's connection to the dark side inspired Snoke's creation ties together several key elements of the prequel, original, and sequel trilogies, creating a fascinating narrative thread that connects the rise of the Empire to the ultimate defeat of the First Order. Though we may never know for sure if Ezra Bridger was directly involved in Snoke's creation, the theory highlights the complex and interconnected nature of the Star Wars universe, where characters from different eras can leave a lasting impact on the galaxy's history, even in ways that are hidden or unseen. Whether or not Ezra was truly Snoke's prototype, his journey with the dark side remains one of the most compelling aspects of his character, and it provides valuable insight into the nature of the Force and the eternal struggle between light and dark. The mystery of the Sith holocron. The Sith holocron is one of the most mysterious and coveted objects in the Star Wars universe, a repository of dark side knowledge and secrets dating back millennia. Introduced in Star Wars Rebels, the Sith holocron becomes a key artifact, not only for its connection to the ancient Sith, but also for its dangerous allure. The series explores the consequences of Ezra Bridger's interaction with the holocron, particularly in the context of his brief temptation by the dark side and his time spent under the influence of Darth Maul. This sets the stage for a compelling mystery. What became of the Sith holocron after Maul and Ezra's encounter? And did its knowledge resurface in the galaxy, influencing future events in the Star Wars saga? While the fate of the Sith holocron after its destruction in Rebels remains officially unresolved, the possibility of it having lasting consequences on the galaxy is intriguing. Through speculation and analysis of the events in Rebels and beyond, we can attempt to piece together what might have happened to this dark artifact and how its knowledge could have shaped the galaxy far beyond the immediate period of the Clone Wars and the Galactic Civil War. In Star Wars Rebels, the Sith holocron is first introduced as a key object in the struggle between light and dark. Darth Maul, a former Sith Lord, seeks to gain possession of the Sith holocron to unlock its hidden secrets and grow more powerful. Meanwhile, Ezra Bridger, a young Jedi Padawan, comes into contact with the holocron and is slowly seduced by its dark power. The holocron itself contains the teachings, philosophies, and forbidden knowledge of the Sith, and through its use, Maul attempts to manipulate Ezra into embracing the dark side of the Force. However, the holocron is more than just a physical object. It serves as a gateway to the dark side, and once in Ezra's hands, the holocron seems to exert a corrupting influence on him. This becomes a pivotal moment in Ezra's journey. While his eventual rejection of the dark side in favor of balance marks a key development for his character, it also signifies the immense potential for destruction that such dark side artifacts can wield. One of the most notable aspects of the Sith holocron is that it is tied to the Sith Order itself, an organization that was eradicated long ago by the Jedi, but whose legacy continues to haunt the galaxy. The holocron represents an unyielding thirst for power, control, and manipulation, and its very existence poses a dangerous threat to those who seek its knowledge. When Maul and Ezra's time with the holocron ends, the artifact is destroyed in the final confrontation during the events of Rebel Season 3, and it seemingly vanishes from the galaxy. The holocron is shattered by the efforts of Kanan Jarrus and Ezra, severing the link it had to the dark side power it contained. But this raises several questions. What happened to the knowledge contained within the Sith holocron, and could its teachings have resurfaced in the galaxy in some form? Although the physical Sith holocron is destroyed in Rebels, it is important to remember that the knowledge contained within it is not necessarily gone forever. Sith holocrons are known for containing vast amounts of information, secrets about the dark side, ancient Sith rituals, forbidden techniques, and dark prophecies. These objects are not merely relics. They are powerful conduits for the dark side of the Force, often imprinted with the essence and teachings of Sith lords who created them. After the holocron's destruction, it is plausible that some of the knowledge it contained could have remained in the galaxy in one form or another. Sith holocrons are often linked to the wills and spirits of those who crafted them, and while the physical holocron may have been destroyed, the lessons and insights contained within could have found a way to endure. Whether through Sith artifacts, corrupted Force-sensitive individuals, or even fragments of the holocron's power, it is possible that Maul's pursuit of the holocron was just the beginning of a larger story about its impact on the galaxy. One possible explanation is that pieces of the holocron's knowledge could have been passed down or transmitted to other characters in the galaxy, particularly those who are already inclined toward the dark side. The holocron may have embedded itself in the minds of those it interacted with, such as Ezra, Maul, or even the characters who were involved in the destruction of the artifact. This would mean that while the holocron itself is gone, its influence may have subtly persisted in ways that continue to shape the course of the galaxy. Another important consideration is the role that Darth Maul played in the Holocron's journey. Although Maul was no longer a Sith Lord by the time he encountered the Holocron, his deep connection to the dark side made him a significant figure in the story of the Holocron. Maul's time spent with the Holocron allowed him to learn new techniques and expand his own knowledge of the dark side. He was driven by a desire for power and revenge, which made him a dangerous figure, capable of manipulating others. After the destruction of the Holocron, it is possible that some of the knowledge Maul gained from the artifact remained with him. Even after his death at the hands of Obi-Wan Kenobi, Maul's influence could have continued, especially if the teachings from the Holocron played a role in shaping his actions. Maul's obsession with revenge, his deep hatred for the Jedi, and his willingness to manipulate others suggests that the dark teachings he encountered through the Holocron would have contributed to his actions even after the artifact was gone. Maul, despite his death, had a lasting impact on the galaxy through his legacy of hatred, manipulation, and power. His influence may have served as a bridge for the knowledge contained in the Sith Holocron to live on in the minds of future dark side users. While the events of Rebels take place long before the rise of the First Order, it is possible that the knowledge and dark side teachings passed down from the Sith Holocron influenced the formation of the Empire's successor. Emperor Palpatine's return in The Rise of Skywalker and his cloning experiments on Exegol are a direct continuation of the Sith's thirst for power and immortality. The teachings from the Sith Holocron could have played a part in Palpatine's efforts to maintain control over the galaxy, particularly his obsession with creating a vessel for his spirit and the experiments that led to the creation of Snoke. One of the core tenets of the Sith philosophy is the pursuit of immortality and ultimate power. This dark side goal is directly reflected in Palpatine's resurrection in The Rise of Skywalker, where he uses Sith alchemy and cloning technology to try and return from death. The knowledge contained in the Holocron could have been part of the foundation for these dark rituals, especially as Palpatine's secret experiments in cloning and Sith resurrection align with the forbidden teachings the Sith Holocron held. Additionally, Palpatine's return in the sequel trilogy, along with the resurrection of ancient Sith practices, suggests that the Sith Holocron's teachings on dark arts and Sith knowledge had a far-reaching influence on the galaxy. Palpatine may have used the insights gained from the Holocron, directly or indirectly, to continue his dark work, ensuring the rise of the First Order and his ultimate return. The Holocron's legacy could be seen as an ongoing thread of Sith influence, connecting the fall of the Galactic Empire to the rise of the First Order. Finally, the destruction of the Sith Holocron does not necessarily mark the end of the Sith's dark knowledge. Throughout Star Wars lore, Sith artifacts are scattered across the galaxy, and the Sith's thirst for knowledge and control over the dark side extends far beyond the confines of a single holocron. The Star Wars universe is filled with ancient Sith temples, relics, and objects imbued with the dark side, all of which hold the potential to carry the teachings of the Sith Order forward. The fact that the Sith holocron was one of many such objects means that, while its destruction in Rebels was significant, it was not the only source of Sith knowledge. Other artifacts, perhaps previously unknown or lost to history, may contain similar dark teachings that could be rediscovered in future Star Wars stories. The potential for Sith knowledge to resurface in the galaxy remains high, particularly in light of the events in the sequel trilogy. While the physical Sith holocron was destroyed in Star Wars Rebels, its influence and the knowledge it contained may have lived on in unexpected ways. From the dark side teachings that were absorbed by Maul and Ezra to the eventual rise of the First Order and Palpatine's resurrection, The holocron's legacy has likely had a lasting impact on the galaxy. The Sith holocron represents more than just an object of power. It is a key symbol of the enduring nature of the dark side, and its knowledge continues to shape the galaxy in both overt and subtle ways. Whether through the actions of Maul, the rise of the Sith in the sequel trilogy, or the resurgence of dark side artifacts, the mystery of the Sith holocron is far from over. Did Kanan and Hera's son inherit Force sensitivity? In Star Wars, the concept of Force sensitivity is one of the most profound and defining aspects of its characters. The Force plays a central role in shaping the destinies of individuals and the galaxy itself, whether through the Jedi or the Sith. Within the broader Star Wars universe, the progeny of Force-sensitive individuals often carry the weight of their parents' legacies, and the same could be true for Jacen Syndulla, the son of the former Rebel Alliance leader Hera Syndulla and the late Jedi Knight Kanan Jarrus, whose complex and meaningful relationship is central to Star Wars Rebels. While Jacen's future role in the galaxy is left ambiguous at the end of Rebels, there are several compelling reasons to believe that he may inherit the Force sensitivity of his father, Kanan, and potentially play a significant role in shaping the events of the galaxy. This theory analyzes the possibility of Jacen Syndulla's Force sensitivity, exploring how it could affect his future and his potential role in the galaxy's fate. From his connection to his parents to his untapped potential, Jacen may be one of the most significant figures in the future of the Star Wars universe. The most important factor in speculating on Jacen Syndulla's potential Force sensitivity is his parentage. Hera Syndulla, a Twi'lek and leader of the Ghost Crew in Rebels, is known for her strategic brilliance, bravery, and her pivotal role in the rebellion against the Galactic Empire. While Hera is not Force-sensitive herself, she is still deeply connected to the spiritual side of the galaxy. Having fought alongside Force-sensitive individuals like Kanan Jarrus and Ezra Bridger, Kanan Jarrus, a Jedi Knight who survived the Jedi Purge, was a key figure in the rebellion. His connection to the Force and his role as a mentor to Ezra Bridger were central to Rebels. Kanan's strong connection to the Force, his deep understanding of the Jedi Code, and his ability to wield a lightsaber made him one of the few surviving Jedi during the time of the Galactic Empire. Though Kanan's death in the final season of Rebels marks the end of his physical presence, his legacy endures through his son, Jacen. Given the undeniable Force sensitivity of Kanan, the possibility that Jacen inherited his father's powers becomes increasingly likely. Force sensitivity is a hereditary trait, passed down from parent to child. Characters such as Luke Skywalker, Leia Organa, and Ben Solo, Kylo Ren, illustrate how the Force can flow through families, and it's reasonable to assume that Jacen, as the son of two such influential figures, could also have the potential for Force sensitivity. Jacen's potential for Force sensitivity is not directly addressed in Rebels, but there are several key moments and clues that suggest he may possess this ability. For one, Jacen's exposure to the Force through his father, Kanan, would have likely made him more attuned to the mystical energy field, even if he hasn't yet fully manifested his powers. The fact that Kanan was a Jedi Knight and that Jacen grew up around other Force-sensitive individuals, like Ezra Bridger, could have accelerated his natural affinity for the Force. Additionally, Jacen's connection to his father is another important consideration. Kanan's own path as a Jedi was one of growth, self-discovery, and ultimately sacrifice. Kanan's deep understanding of the Force was something he would have passed on to Jacen in whatever form possible, especially as the boy grew older. The emotional bond between Jacen and Kanan was evident in Rebels, and the potential for Jacen to inherit his father's teachings and principles, even without being trained as a Jedi, is significant. In Star Wars, Force sensitivity is not always immediately obvious, especially when an individual is young. Characters like Rey in the sequel trilogy demonstrate that one can come into their powers later in life, and sometimes their connection to the Force is revealed in moments of extreme stress or crisis. Given that Jason's story is still largely untold, it's possible that his Force sensitivity is not fully manifested yet, but could do so as he matures or when the galaxy's fate demands it. If Jason is indeed Force sensitive, his potential role in the galaxy could be vast and impactful. As the son of two key figures in the fight against the Empire, Jason's legacy is already one of rebellion and hope. However, the galaxy's need for balance, particularly in the aftermath of the fall of the Empire and the rise of the First Order, may mean that Jason plays a pivotal role in bringing stability or confronting the remnants of darkness. The Star Wars universe is marked by cyclical struggles between light and dark. Throughout the franchise, new generations of Force-sensitive individuals have emerged to confront the challenges of their time. Jason's story could very well mirror that of previous Force users, especially those who have inherited their parents' legacies, such as Luke Skywalker, who rebuilt the Jedi Order, or Rey, who ultimately defeated Emperor Palpatine. If Jason inherits Kanan's Force sensitivity, he could be a powerful force for good in the galaxy, and potentially even help to rebuild the Jedi Order after the fall of the Empire. Moreover, Jason's Force potential could be the key to addressing the galaxy's future challenges, particularly as remnants of the Sith, such as Palpatine's spirit and the First Order, threaten the peace that was hard-won after the destruction of the Empire. If Jason becomes aware of his abilities, he could contribute to the restoration of balance, training others who are sensitive to the Force, and helping to ensure that the darkness of the Sith never fully resurfaces. One of the most compelling possibilities for Hera Syndulla's future is his potential involvement in the rebuilding of the Jedi Order. With Kanan's teachings in his blood, Jason could have a critical role to play in reviving the Jedi tradition. This is particularly important given that, by the time of the sequel trilogy, the Jedi Order has been virtually eradicated, with only a few remaining Force-sensitive individuals like Rey and Luke Skywalker's spirit guiding the way. Given his father's history, Jason could be a bridge between the old ways of the Jedi and a new, more balanced approach to the Force. He would not only have the advantage of his father's teachings, but also the unique perspective of having been raised by Hera Syndulla, a brilliant military strategist who operated outside the confines of traditional Jedi dogma. This mix of the traditional Jedi teachings and Hera's real-world experience in leadership could provide Jason with a powerful, pragmatic approach to Force sensitivity. It's possible that Jason could see the Jedi not just as peacekeepers, but as leaders who must act decisively when the galaxy is at stake. Additionally, Jason's experience growing up during the height of the rebellion and witnessing his parents fight against the Empire would give him a strong sense of purpose and justice. He would understand the importance of fighting for the greater good, while also learning to avoid the dogmatic extremes that led to the fall of the Jedi in the prequel era. Jason could seek to redefine the Jedi Order, ensuring that it is not merely a weapon, but a force for peace, understanding, and balance. While Jason's immediate fate is still uncertain, his Force sensitivity, if it exists, could make him a crucial figure in the galaxy's post-Empire era. The galaxy after the fall of the Empire is one filled with uncertainty. As the rise of the First Order and the return of Palpatine demonstrate, Jason could be a key player in the conflict between the remnants of the Sith and the forces of the light. Furthermore, Jason's involvement in the broader Star Wars narrative could extend beyond the traditional role of the Jedi. He could become a symbol of hope for a galaxy still recovering from years of war. As someone who inherited his parents' values, hope, freedom, and resistance to tyranny, Jacen could be an important figure in restoring balance to a galaxy that has seen much darkness. In conclusion, the possibility that Hera Syndulla inherited Force sensitivity has profound implications for his character and the future of the Star Wars galaxy. As the son of Kanan Jarrus, a Jedi Knight, and Hera Syndulla, a formidable leader in the rebellion, Jacen stands at the crossroads of light and dark. His potential Force sensitivity could see him following in his father's footsteps, taking on a leadership role in the galaxy's future, and possibly even helping to rebuild the Jedi Order. While Jacen's fate remains unknown, the connections he shares with both his parents and the broader Star Wars universe make him a character with enormous potential. Whether he becomes a Jedi, a teacher, or a protector, Hera Syndulla's role in the galaxy's future could be one of great importance, shaping the next chapter in the ongoing struggle between light and dark.